Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Mu'mineen, as per my earlier message today afternoon regarding the inspirations from the Quran that we are getting, I am thinking that we continue with this surah, Surah Al-Baqarah, even though we are going to be starting a new surah, Surah Al-Imran. Surah Al-Baqarah, as I said, has got lots to offer, and we have not even touched one iota of the surah from the last 2 weeks. But Surah Al-Baqarah has been named after a story which is very relevant for all times. I will go directly and dive into the main reason for naming this surah, Al-Baqarah, the cow. This is the only surah or one of the few surahs which does not have dual names. It has only got one name, Al-Baqarah. This is because in the first third of the surah, ayat number 67 to be exact, there is this ayah in Arabic, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً أو بقرة أن تذبحوا بقرة أو بقرة because there's a stop. قالوا أتتخذون هزوا. Are you mocking us? When Musa says, Allah is asking, oh, thank you very much, it's on the screen there. And it says, this command came after a murder that took place. Now the story of this murder is very vague because it's not reported in our books as such. It is in Israeli or in the Torah or something, but it's not. But then the ulamas have gone ahead and told us what has happened. Now, before I go back into the verse, I want to tell you who Banu Israel are. Banu Israel are linked to Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. Prophet Yaqub's other name was Israel, and he had 12 children, and all those children had a progeny. Now, like Musa comes from the progeny and is a descendant of Nabiullah Yusuf. Nabiullah Yusuf is the son of Nabiullah Yaqub. So the Israelis are named after the Prophet Baqarah. Coming back to this murder, there was a murder in a village. Now, the story, as I said, it's vague. There are many versions of what the murder was all about. The murder, one story says it was that there was a girl and there were three cousins who wanted to get engaged to this girl, and this girl chose one of them, and the other two got jealous, and one of them went and killed the person and dumped his body in the middle of the village. Now, when they dumped the body in the middle of the village, there was a chaos, and each other's, the qabails, in the Israelis, there are qabilas, and they started arguing amongst themselves, and there was a fight brewing up. So there's one story that it is about a girl. The other story is there was a wealthy person who had said that he's going to leave his money to his nephew after his death. The nephew was impatient and he wanted the money then and then. He killed his uncle, and exactly the same thing happened. Dumped the body in the middle of the village. The village started fighting and everything. Anyway, so this was happening in the village, and they decided best they go to the Prophet Musa, and the Prophet will give a verdict or a solution to this. So when we refer to ayat number 67, so when they went to Prophet Musa, now this story starts from ayat number 67, which is on the screen here. And when Musa said to his people, surely Allah commands you that you sacrifice a cow. And they replied, do you mock us? Do you ridicule us? I mean, will you believe it's a cow? So he says, I seek the protection of Allah from being one of the ignorance. Now this is a very beautiful way. He says, like a prophet is not an ignorant. When the prophet is asking somebody to do something, it is because Allah has commanded that. He is not a jahil, he is not ignorant, he is not making it out of himself. But this is the problem with the Israelis and with human beings. They start questioning whatever they're told, they will start questioning. Now, let's pause for a moment. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ask that a cow should be slaughtered? Why not a bird? Why not any other animal? Now, in the verses preceding this story, there is a story about the Prophet Musa going to the mountain for 30 days, and then another 10 days were increased, and he was there for 40 days. And when he comes back, and lo and behold, he finds the people that Allah had saved them from the wrath of Pharaoh and everything, and that biggest miracle ever seen on this earth, the parting of the sea and the crossing Egypt into the Sinai. And then what happens? After all that, they go and worship a cow, a baby calf. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to them, now you are the same people who are worshipping the cow or the calf. And then Allah had to threaten them. You know the story, on verse number 63, on top of your screen, you will see verse number 63, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had Jibreel lift the mountain, and he threatened. Allah threatened. Yes, Allah gets angry. Allah gets angry and he sends calamities. Allah gets angry with the sins happening in the world. Sends COVID, Corona. Ayazu billah. Not that when somebody has got Corona or COVID is a direct suburb of that. It's a different subject. But Allah gets angry and he sends test. Allah took the mountain. He told Jibreel, lift the mountain. And the mountain came on top of the Israelis, the Banu Israel. And then they repented. Yeah? So that's another story which is preceding this story. But we are concentrating on the story of the Al-Baqarah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they ask him, this is one of the reasons, I'm not sure, I'm just saying what the ulamas are saying, that the cow was chosen because the link to the calf. Okay? And when we did appoint Moses for 40 nights, so this was what I'm saying. But subhanAllah, the Banu Israel started making excuses. Now, following ayats, you will see the Banu Israel start making excuses. Oh, Prophet, what kind of a cow do you want? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a message. I want a cow which is not too old, which is not too young, which is not plowed the lands. It has to be of this color. So the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them, the more excuses Banu Israel came out with. Like they were ridiculing the Prophet. So Allah gave them even harder qualities in that particular cow. Now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives something, He knows that if somebody wants to look for it, He will find it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that cow exists of that particular color. It should be yellow. And then there's a beautiful, if I can, this is in ayat number 69. قَالَ إِنَّهُ يَقُولُ إِنَّهَا بَقَرَةٌ صَفْرَاء. It has to be a yellow cow. فَاقِعٌ لَوْنُهَا. فَاقِعٌ, light in color. Light color. And this is the last word, which is beautiful. I really enjoyed it. تَسُرُّ النَّاظِرِينَ. It should be a delight to the eye. Mu'minin, when we want to do a zabiha, a baqarah, or we want to feed people, let's offer something which is good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders here. Tasurru means it has to be giving delight. Thank you very much, Ghulam Ali. Giving delight to the beholders. The beholders means the beholders of the eyes. It should be something nice. So whenever you want to do a Fatiha, or you want to do a Niyaz, or Zabiha, or something, Mu'minin, here is your answer. It has to be something nice. Okay? I think the Khajas in Mombasa will love this because, mashallah, we love our Niyaz. So anyway, what I'm trying to tell you in this story, why it has been named Al-Baqarah, is because of this story about the cow. So, long story short, the cow, they get it. Now, how they get the cow, finally, is a long story. but it belonged to a pious man who was looking after his mother, and that they found that cow and they bring it to Prophet Musa. The Prophet Musa then he tells people to slaughter the cow. The cow is slaughtered, and a part of the cow's limb is taken, and the Prophet takes that limb, and by idhnillah, with the permission of Allah. We should always say, whenever a miracle is happening, it has to be said bi idhnillah, with the permission of Allah. That limb from the dead cow is hit or put on the body of the murdered victim, and lo and behold, the victim stands up and speaks and points to his nephew or to the person who had killed him and says, "This is the person who killed me." And the victim then again, the murdered person dies again, and the murderer is apprehended. Now, there's so much to learn from this story of Al-Baqarah. This is not a story only for the Israelites. There's a story for all human beings. I've noted down a few stories in the last few moments. So this murder could have happened for greed, because one of the people or the nephew wanted his money. So he wanted, and he was not patient. And when you are impatient, you take unnecessary risks, and you do some ghuna. Talking about ghuna, I was reading something today that, we are human beings, we all do ghunas, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us chance that if you get a thought to do a ghuna, or if that ghuna has happened, the sooner we say astaghfirullah, Allah will forgive us as soon as possible. The forgiving is in Allah's hands, but what I'm trying to say is, as soon as somebody does a ghuna, for example, did not wake up for his morning prayers, wakes up and the first thing he says, astaghfirullah, Allah give me a chance to wake up and do the deed as I do. So Allah wants you to ask for forgiveness. Anyway, so the reason for this murder was greed or lust, because one of the boys did not get the girl he wanted. The other lesson that I can take out from this story is that if there's a problem in a community, let's refer it to the Hakim al-Shari'i, to the Naib Imam, to the ulamas and the scholars who know how to give us. So when in the village there was a murder, they could not find a solution, they went to the Prophet. Now in today's world, we do not have a Prophet. We have an Imam, but we have no contact with the Imam. So we go to his Naib. And the naibs of an Imam are the marjas or the scholars or the righteous people who you can go for. So if there's a problem in a community, you go to the Hakim al-Shari'i. Now when that Hakim al-Shari'i asks you to bring your proofs or your materials or your documents, everything, do not make it awkward. What kind of cow should we bring? Has it got to be this color? Has it to be old, young? When something is so, because the more you try to mock and take time, the more difficult it will get. People, be it of Banu Israel or the Quraysh or the people of Yathrib, as they were known, they were given clear proofs and manifestations, like I said earlier on, yet they went astray. They went astray in many ways. I mean, imagine the miracle that happened, yet the Banu Israel, they forgot how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had saved them. And in the end, the other lesson we learn from this surah or from this story is that whatever happens, the truth will always prevail. So finally, even after the murder had happened in the middle of the night, there were no witnesses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure that the culprit was caught, and in a miraculous way. So subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahsantum.